with student chapters as University of Lagos, University, University, and Federal University of Technology, Akure. So this is a session to actually prepare leaders of tomorrow in the energy industry. Themed: preparing tomorrow's energy leaders, the role of diversity and inclusion in technology advancement. I think 3 days ago, we also had International Women's Day, and team to have this to not just talking about this, but inclusion in general, all aspects and fields. We will talk about the theme. We'll also have a panel section. So, but before we proceed, we all know the same. So, when we don't have use calls and I think our face when you right avoid large gatherings, the COVID. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Tura. Good afternoon, everyone. Once again, it gives me great pleasure to welcome everyone to this very apt and timely 2-day event, particularly our dear students and young professionals for whom this program has been designed to impact. The theme of this event, preparing tomorrow's energy leaders, the role of diversity and inclusion in technology advancement, I believe was indeed very well conceived to address present realities within the oil and gas industry today. And these realities evolve around energy efficiency, energy diversification, sustainability of the industry, as well as climate change impact. Now, how do these elements interplay with energy demands, taking into perspective the various technological advancements and the evolving skill sets that are and will be required in the near future? Those are the things we'll be discussing today. And the continuous promotion of the Girls in STEM initiative is one that fits very well in bridging the diversity and inclusion gap. However, I also agree that there are more opportunities to leverage upon to ensure tomorrow's energy leaders are adequately prepared. And it's on that note that I must say that I am absolutely confident in the team of resource persons we have here today. All are very seasoned professionals, from our keynote speaker to the moderator, as well as the distinguished panelists. They will be sharing very valuable insights with us today. And on that note, I will urge us to please sit tight and ensure we grasp all they have to offer us today, so that we become the better for it and we're better prepared to face the future industry and the evolving challenges. So once again, I welcome you all to this event and wish us all a pleasant session ahead. Many thanks, and back to you, Mr.
Thank you very much, Secretary, for that. So we move ahead to next on the item, which is welcome address by for SPE person of slide.
Thank you, Ms. Tura. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us at this event. Thank you to our very special guests who have taking time out to join us in this special occasion. I'll just say a few words because I believe that our distinguished speakers will do justice to the theme. The theme for today's event is Preparing Tomorrow's Energy Leaders, the role of diversity and inclusion in technology advancement. To say that technology is a radical driver of change today will not be out of place. From artificial intelligence to automation to the new normal, which involves virtual collaboration. The future of work is being debated, and there's a louder demand for diversity and inclusion. Social pressures continue to create demand for work flexibility, as we have with the gig economy. The Industry 4.0 is happening, and it is important that our industry innovates and is adaptive to the change that comes with this, and can subsequently take advantage of its effects. The skills required to stay ahead in this industry are in high demand across other major industries. So the oil and gas industry needs to position itself as an employer of choice. Hence, to prepare tomorrow's leaders today, there has to exist a pool of talent to begin with. So the challenges around generational skills gap will need to be addressed, and we cannot fully address this without addressing the issues of diversity and inclusion. There's a greater need to integrate technology in the entire life cycle, from promoting STEM programs to recruitment, onboarding, and to continuous development and training. And this has become very highly imperative. I believe that our distinguished speakers, like I said before, will do justice to this theme, and I'm looking forward to a very engaging session. Thank you. Thank you guys for joining us. Over to you, Mr.
Thank you very much, Priscilla, for the opening statement. Okay, so before we proceed with the speech, I'd like to, we'll have an interlude now. I think Modupe is back with us. Modupe, unmute, please. Modupe?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so over to you now, the interlude. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry, I'm thinking.
Did you know that the Yorubas considered Ile-Ife as the exact place of creation? That is, where the gods descended from heaven and created the world? According to the traditions of the Yoruba religion, Ife was founded by the order of the supreme god, Olodumare, by.
Did you also know that the tallest and largest statue in Nigeria, the fourth tallest in Africa, is the Queen Moremi Statue of Liberty, erected in 2016 in the Oni of Ife Palace? Queen Moremi is regarded by the Yorubas as an epitome of bravery, selflessness, and wisdom.
These are the things that make us great.
Great Ife. Great Ife.
Great Ife.
Great Ife.
Great Ife.
Great Ife. Great Ife. Great.
Great Ife.
Okay, so thank you. I hope you enjoyed our interlude. That was a video put together by students of Awolowo University, giving you a tour about their school, what makes Ife a great city and a lovely one. Okay, so Mutukwe.
Yes, I'm here.
Go ahead. Share your screen.
Okay. It's faulty. I don't know.
Okay, so next up is the panel session, and we have our moderator here who will be in charge of this session. We have Banker Shodimo. So Banker Shodimo is a graduate of University of Ibadan with a BSc degree in petroleum engineering. Banker, as is fondly called, is an excellence-oriented research and data analyst of Modena Investments Limited, a leading financial services provider in the oil and gas industry. She contributes her quota to the advancement of the energy sector by conducting thorough research and analyzing data needed to make sound business decisions. Banker is a committed team leader and team player. She has shown this attribute through her various works and volunteer experiences over the years. As a member of Site of Petroleum Engineers, she was instrumental in the community development drive of the society in the environs of the University of Ibadan. She volunteered with other team members to organize a Catch Them Young program, reaching out to high school students and encouraging them to pursue careers in the STEM courses. Okay, so Banker, over to you for the keynotes, for the panelist presentation and keynote address. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Good afternoon, everybody. I believe you all can hear me. Okay, thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. So today we're going to be having a great time in today's event.
Banker,
And
over to you.
sorry, Mr. Can you confirm you can hear me?
Yes, Banker, we can hear you.
All right then. Okay, so today we're going to be having a great time in today's event.
I hear you.
Okay, so in order not to waste more time, so I'm just going to go straight to introduce our speakers for today, who will be speaking on the theme, preparing tomorrow's energy leaders, the role of diversity and inclusion. Oh, sorry, trying to connect my. Okay. So today we're going to be having Adeshola Robinson as our keynote speaker, and I believe she's going to do justice to our topic for today. So I'm just going to introduce her and tell us a bit about her. So Adeshola Robinson is the operations manager at PSI Factor Limited. She's a drilling engineer with 18 years of practical experience spanning well design and engineering, directional drilling coordination, and performance development. She joined Boston, Nigeria in 2007 as a technical professional concentrating on well design and engineering after experience with Castlebooks Nigeria Limited. Armed with 13 years of experience from Boston that covered directional well design, drilling engineering, and people management, she moved to PSI Factor Limited, where she's currently serving as the operations manager. She chaired Women Sharing Excellence and Ferry Talent and Advisory Council in 2016. Both are diversity and inclusion initiatives within Boston, which promotes and supports diversity in recruitment and among the workforce. Shola is a result-oriented, articulate, and analytical leader, and an ardent advocate for women in STEM. She single-handedly planned and executed introduced a girls' engineering day in a secondary school in Port Harcourt in 2014. She's a mentor and coach to quite a number of young female engineers within the Nigerian energy industry. She has chaired several committees involved in planning and executing quality programs aimed at promoting women development within and outside the oil industry. She's also a member of Section 103 Port Harcourt, where she presently chairs the Women in Engineering Green Committee, aside several volunteer positions she's occupied at the SPE Nigerian Council. Shola is married to Sam, and they have 3 children. So right now we're going to invite our keynote speaker as she gives a speech on the theme for today. Shola, over to you. Sorry, Shola, can you hear me? Okay, so while we wait for Shola, I'll just go ahead and introduce our panelists.
Pardon
Okay.
me, do you want to check if she's already speaking and maybe has her microphone on mute? So Shola, if you're already speaking, we cannot hear you. Maybe you're currently on mute. So
Okay, you hear me now? Okay, yes, we can hear you. Thank you so much, Alessia. We can hear you, Shola. Hi, Shola, we can hear you. Then you can go ahead and share your screen as well. Okay, so while we wait for Shola to sort out her technical issues and have the technical people attend to her, I'll go ahead to read the profile of other speakers that we have today. All right then. So joining us today will also be Oladipo Ashafa. He's a global digital business opportunity manager, currently works at Shell. Tito Ashafa is an oil and gas professional with over 15 years of upstream and midstream experience across the United States, Nigeria, Dubai, and the Netherlands. He is currently global digital business opportunity manager at Royal Dutch Shell, leading a high-performing team of professionals across multiple continental regions. He's an alumnus of the University of Oklahoma, where he had his BSc in petroleum engineering, and here at Black University with an MSc degree in petroleum engineering. He's a professional member of the Society of Petroleum Engineers. He has served in numerous local and international leadership roles across Nigeria, the United Arab Emirates, and the United States. Tito is passionate about the next generation technical and behavioral development with an understandable bias for STEM. He's also a strong supporter of Nigeria's energy development ambition. Personal interests include sports, traveling, and music. Next is Sherifat Akinwumi. She's a cybersecurity expert, and she currently works at United Farmers of Alberta, and she sits on the board of different organizations. Sherifat is a cybersecurity professional with work experience across diverse industries, including oil and energy services, pharmaceuticals, financial, and IT services. She holds a master's degree with distinction from the University of Salford, UK, and bachelor's degree with first-class honors in computer science and technology from Bowen University, Nigeria. She holds several cybersecurity professional certifications, such as CISSP, CCISO, ISO 27001, LI, among several others. She has great passion and interest for enabling women in their professional career. She's a member of the advisory board for Canadian Women in Cybersecurity and currently a board advisory member for Girls and Women Technological Empowerment Organization, known as GWCEO, Women in Management and Business, WIMBY, and also a co-founder of Women in Cybersecurity and Technology. She was part of GSK Women Leadership Initiative, WLI program, where she supports ladies to improve on their knowledge in the field. Next is LSA Edewani. She's a weld engineer at Shell. LSA is a weld engineer with Shell and has over 9 years deep water weld engineering experience in drilling, completions, and weld interventions. She holds a bachelor's degree in petroleum engineering from the University of Port Harcourt and a master's degree also in petroleum engineering from NLWAT University, UK. She's an active member of the Society of Petroleum Engineers and has contributed to several social impact programs in SPE, including sponsorship of girls in STEM. She's an ardent believer that education and exposure are both critical to success. LSA is on a leadership self-discovery and is an MBA candidate at the Said Business School, University of Oxford, UK. She's passionate about inclusion and giving back to the community and is eager to have new learning experience that will ultimately impact the society at large. Besides work and school, she's married with 2 beautiful girls. So the final speaker is Dr. Riverson Opong. He is a commercial manager at EM and RM Ghana National Gas Company. With 11 years global experience in the oil and gas industry with Horizon Energy Limited, GE Energy Oil and Gas, CPF, and Lukoil International, located in Russia, Dubai, USA, and Cote d'Ivoire. Dr. Riverson is currently the commercial manager in charge of economic modeling and risk management at Ghana National Gas Company. He is also an adjunct lecturer at Ghana Technology University College, Coventry University Campus in Africa. He is an experienced oil and gas business analyst with solid technical and commercial knowledge in oil and gas field development planning and portfolio management. He is also heavily involved in the day-to-day interpretation of value chain potential for oil and gas businesses. He thrives because of his diligence, innovativeness, and technological drive. Riverson, with a PhD in international oil and gas management, finance and economics from Gopin, Russian University of Oil and Gas, has lectured in several universities across Europe, Canada, and Australia, and has been a panelist in several conferences across the globe in the past 6 years. He is also a revered presenter across international conferences with 21 published papers and articles. It is worth mentioning that Dr. Opong has won several international awards and medals, the most recent award being the 2020 SPE International Region Young Member Outstanding Service Award, the 2020 SPE International Regional Young Member Outstanding Service Award, and the 2020 Presidential Millennium Excellence Award Oil and Gas category. So now I'll hand over the mic to Solar Robinson to give her keynote speech.
Okay, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, I hope you can hear me now.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I'm trying to share my screen. Let me know when you can see my screen. So I don't know why
Okay, so you have to click on the share, the share icon where you click on.
Yeah, I think I tried this before we started, to be sure everything was fine. And I did it successfully then. I don't know why the problem right now.
Okay, you can go ahead with your presentation. You can just start.
Okay, I think I will keep trying while I continue with the presentation.
Yes, and please, can you send it via email? Can you send it to the SP email? I'll get someone to project it.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Can you send it to the SP email? I'll get someone to project it.
Okay. I think I have. Let me send it to Dico. I don't know on WhatsApp. Can help me to share it. I think I have it right there.
Okay. And you can send it to Mr. as well.
I don't have Mr. on the only person I
have. Okay, that's fine.
Well, you can just help me share it.
All right.
Okay.
Yes.
Just start right there. Good afternoon, everyone. Maybe good morning, maybe good evening, depending on the part of the world where you live in. Okay. My name is Shola Robinson, as introduced, and I work for Sci Factor Limited. That's the way to pronounce the name, Sci Factor. Okay. So I'm presenting on the topic preparing tomorrow's energy leaders, the role of diversity and inclusion in technology advancement. So I saw from the synopsis 3 questions that we need to answer. How to close generational gap in the energy industry, the skills that are required for the workforce of the future, the role of diversity and inclusion in preparing tomorrow's energy leaders. So the knowledge gap, what is it? What do we mean by the knowledge gap? In the context of the oil and gas industry, it's a challenge that exists within the industry, whereby the older workers around 55 and above leave the workforce with all their experience and knowledge, thereby creating a vacuum in the knowledge base. So you have the older guys retiring, meanwhile the industry has not been able to attract enough of the younger ones to replace them. The few ones in place are yet to grasp the ropes of the business. So this is causing a crippling skills shortage within the industry. So why do we have this gap? One of the biggest problems the industry faces is the great crew change. Older workers from the baby boomer generation are beginning to reach retirement age, ultimately heading off and taking decades of knowledge and experience with them. So the baby boomers are those born between the mid 40s to like the mid 60s. Meanwhile, there are fewer and fewer who are able to replace them, and in recent years, many jobs were shed due to the volatility of oil prices. According to data, only 4% of workers in the oil and gas industry are aged between 18 and 24, while 20% are aged above 55. So why do we have the lack of new talent entering the sector? Why is it so? A recent report shows that the oil and gas sector was the #1 industry most millennials wish to avoid working in because of its image. This poor image can be traced back to the economic downturn of the 80s when the oil price was low for years and companies closed. So many engineers had to enter other sectors such as the automotive and the aerospace rather than the energy sector. History repeated itself too during the economic downturn in 2008 when many companies cut their graduate and apprenticeship schemes. A move that was necessary then, but of course, is hurting us badly now. And then we have the COVID. The COVID came and nailed the coffin last year. So many workers in the energy sector were laid off last year. And a lot of this set of guys moved to the AI sector. Okay. So another challenge we are having is the gender gap. Currently, 92% of workers in the industry are men, a very visible disparity. As the industry and its workforce requirements evolve, it's no longer viable for oil and gas companies to depend predominantly male talent to meet the demands. So lastly, we have the need for new digital skills. As new technologies such as the industrial Internet of Things transform the industry, oil and gas companies are collecting more and more digital data, which is helping to improve worker safety, monitor reservoir behavior, plan ahead for smoother drillings, maintain hardware, and so many much more. The energy company that has the best software engineers to manage and create plans around these data will be the ones that pull ahead of the competition. So there is this need for these new digital skills. So how do we bridge this knowledge gap? What do we do? The knowledge gap is a problem that money alone can't solve. I mean, it's not just about offering higher pay to attract more people into the industry. No. So there are more practicable ways of bridging this gap. Please, I need to be sure you guys are hearing me. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, sir.
Oh, fantastic. I was scared. I was off again. Okay. Bridge this knowledge gap. Number one thing we can do, we can delay the baby boomers retirement a little and get them to focus on impact I have jobs. Get good money for just in much ways. Most in the oil sector don't have career progression. I should be able to know where I will be in maybe in 10 years if I obey all the rules. I should be able to predict where I'll be in 10 years. We also need to offer employees flexible working options. Employees should be able to choose to work remotely at times or even permanently. And then lastly, the industry needs to find creative ways to attract women working in other industries to come into the oil and gas engineering sector, by shining a spotlight on what a welcoming and rewarding career it can be and highlighting the opportunities. So in order to attract more females into the oil and gas sector, the industry needs to show that it welcomes and nurtures talent, provides equal opportunities, provide female role models, provide flexible working hours, and give more support to women with children. So basically, what we are saying is we need to get the younger ones into the industry, get the older ones to train them before they leave. But the knowledge they will acquire from all these our papas, the old men, is not all that they will need to get ahead in the world of today, or as we call it, the work of the future. So there's a skill set required for the future and even now, because our so-called future is here already. These skills, they are mostly soft skills. Now, you can't see my screen. I don't know if anybody is sharing the slides already. I don't know if people was able to share the slides. Okay, so you have these skill sets. We have digital thinking, computational thinking. We have critical thinking and analysis. We have creative and innovative mindset, people management, emotional and social intelligence, persuasion and negotiation, and so many other, so to say, soft skills. So now, if you look at this list, it's not that they are entirely new, but I think we're going to see the emphasis on each of them increasing over the next few years. The key skills required in the future will be less technical and will be more around the learning quotient of an individual. So these skills bring about higher productivity in a team when the team is diverse. So this brings us to diversity and inclusion. Now, before I proceed, I need us to understand the difference here. I mean, between the knowledge I was talking about and this new set of skills I just mentioned. The knowledge I was talking about are mostly technical, physical things. For example, if I need to tighten a screw, the knowledge here is to driver and just put it right. So it's same thing for if I'm black or if I'm white or I'm male or female or Yoruba, Igbo, it's the same thing. But for this set of skills I mentioned just now, this set of skills, they are needed for higher productivity. We need a diverse team for this kind of skills. So when we say diversity, let's talk about inclusion as well. So diversity and inclusion is more than just policies, programs, or headcounts. maybe in our companies, they talk about D&I policy. They organize some events around it. Then you hear things like, oh, we have to have 25%, maybe women, within our workforce and all that. But diversity and inclusion is more than that. It's actually about respecting the unique needs, perspectives, and potential of all your team members. Okay, that's what diversity and inclusion means. So, what is the difference? What is the difference between diversity and inclusion? Diversity and inclusion are actually two interconnected concepts, but you can't use them interchangeably. They have different meanings. So diversity is about representation or makeup of an entity. So for example, in a team, I have Yoruba, I have Igbo, I have Hausa, Ibibio, Ogoni, different tribes. They have men and women, that's gender. Then I have young, I have old people, that's age, in a particular workplace. So that's diversity, okay? While inclusion is about how well the contributions, presence, and perspectives of these different groups of people are valued and integrated into the environment. So as someone defines it, diversity is being invited to the party, inclusion is being asked. To understand the difference between diversity and inclusion. So if you have an environment where you have many different genders, races, nationalities, and ages are present, but only the perspectives of certain yeah, they are not inclusive. So, what is diversity and inclusion in the workplace? A diverse and inclusive workplace is one that makes everyone, regardless of who they are or what they do for the business, feel equally involved in and supported in all areas of the all areas part of it is so and India and technology advance. Number one, diverse and inclusive teams create more uh, on ideas. How? How does that? And the more diverse these teams are along many dimensions: culture, ethnicity, gender, age, experience, and to draw inspiration from seemingly unrelated places. This idea innovative ideas. And let's look at an example. I read a story about a hospital in England some years ago that was experiencing high rates when they were transferring patients from the surgical unit to the intensive care unit. Teams were and they have patients' lives. So most hospitals, that will want to fix this kind of issue will probably want to look at what other hospitals are trying to, maybe change to what they learned from those other hospitals. But this particular hospital didn't. They didn't do that. Instead, they drew inspiration from Formula One racing. They looked at how a pit stop crew operates and applied these techniques to their transfer model. So what's the result? Errors declined dramatically. So you can see in like this show that creating innovative ideas often requires borrowing concepts from different fields. So that's why when you have a diverse, inclusive, you can create more unlikely ideas. Number two, diverse teams are better at making decisions. How? When teams increase their level of difference, they increase their chances of selecting an idea that ends up being a game changer. Why do we have that? Because diversity of perspectives is effective. It traces their ambition level of what they defines parameters that they are working. A diverse team of decision makers can also prevent bad decisions made. Those kind of decisions that may enable others and impede the growth of your company. Simply including people who think about Number three, diverse teams are better at making innovative ideas happen. How? Diverse teams have more pathways to execute on an idea, which enables them to repeat on them faster and more cost effectively. Not only that, but they can also steer, the enterprise budget and tap into networks they may not otherwise explored on their own. So this type of expansive, unanticipated collaboration is what drives fast action. Teams build products that are free of price. I'll give examples of products that have buyers. For example, I'm a South. I use my left hand for everything. But I experience bars in almost every tool I use, almost every tool. From changing the gear in my car, all were made for right hand users. So the gear is on the right side. And there are even very small instances. I tell you, won't cost your mind. Example, yes, the real is made for users only. What about my Android phone? If you look at your Android phone, most Android phone, well, I believe, the volume and power button are on the right side of the phone. So you can only operate them with your right thumb. So what I'm trying to say in essence is, if we had a diverse team designing these items, both right-hand users and southpaws would have had products that work for both users. Okay. So, diverse teams, we'll be able to build products that are free of bias. So, in conclusion, to prepare tomorrow's energy leaders, we must first close the generational knowledge gap. right? Ensure, these future leaders we are talking about get the knowledge base. They need to be by the older guys. Secondly, they have to acquire, some kind of skill sets that are required for the kind of businesses we have, because the knowledge from the older guys will probably end up with robots, But of course, you can't even put these robots in place if you don't understand those knowledge, at all. So we need the knowledge, then we need the skill sets that I mentioned, that I listed earlier. Okay, then we now have to put that to ensure creativity, because creativity drives innovation. And as we know, innovation is the backbone of technology advancement. I think I believe this brings me to the end of the presentation. Thank you. So over to you, the host.
A round of applause for Sarah. I know this is a virtual program, but on the icon below, we can see where to give our reactions. Thank you so much, Shola, for this great speech. Thank you for bringing our awareness to this very crucial element that we need to embrace in the industry. Thank you. I remember you talked about some of the gaps that we're currently experiencing in the industry, such as fewer younger generation, job insecurity, and a lot of millennials would rather work in other industries where they know that their jobs are secured and where they know that all price crash would not displace them out of the industry. And you also talked about the gender gap, which is very, very key. So you also talked about how that we have to bridge this gap for us to be able to have technological advancement that we want to have in the industry. And we also have to, acquire the skill sets required, such as digital literacy, critical thinking, innovative mindset, having innovative mindset. So thank you so much, Shola, for the great speech. So right now, we're going to engage our panelists. We have Sherifat Akinwumi, pardon me. We also have Before Ashafa. We have LSA, Ezewani. We have Dr. Rivas in Okong. And we also have our keynote speaker in the panel session as well. So we all have 4 minutes each to give our perspective on this topic, on the theme for today. So I'll start with Sherifat Akinwumi. I believe everybody would love to hear your opinion or your perspective on this very critical topic on the role of diversity and inclusion in technology and advancement. So we'd like to hear from your perspective. Over to you, Sherifat.
Okay, thank you. And it's my pleasure to be here. Thanks to the previous speaker, Shola, for the keynotes, which I think she covered it very well. But to me, in a simple sentence, diversity and inclusion means a situation where everybody is given equal opportunities. So people are not distinguished or at a disadvantage because of their gender, because of their background, because of their racial affinity, or whatever identifies them. It doesn't mean that some people would just be used to fill a quota just because they want to achieve diversity, but rather because of the numerous benefits of diversity, everybody is involved. And inclusion, as also rightly said by the previous speaker, means that they are not just there to fill a space, but it matters. So a lot of organizations say they want to be diverse, they want to be diverse, they want to be diverse. And then they are putting people on their management team, on their board of directors, just because of their gender. But the decision-making process, how involved are these people? How included are they? So the fact that people are not just there just to fill a space, but they're actually included is what the inclusion means. So basically, diversity is giving everyone equal opportunity to be part of whatever it is, either an organization or an institution, and allowing them to participate, bringing their own uniqueness to that environment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sherifat. Thank you. That was really brief, and I'm sure we all got your message. So over to you, Dito Ashafa. We'd like to hear your perspective on this topic. Thank you.
Can you hear me and see me?
Yes, we can. We can hear you and we can see you.
Okay, can you hear? Okay, great. So, yeah, thanks to the speakers before me. What else technology is one of the biggest enemies of our time, right? And I we've been able to see so much through it. Let me start with just Skype. So I remember a couple years ago I was in Port Harcourt and I wanted to work out of Lagos 1 week a month. You know, my boss was like, "This would never work," and look at where we are today. Where it's the norm. I also talk about like with your smartphones, how you're able to carry out basic things like order food, get groceries, hail a cab with Uber, you know. And a really pertinent example to our industry is now we're able to drill wells remotely, operate facilities remotely, even autonomous drilling. And it's just thanks to improved internet connectivity, IoT, all parts of technology. And you know, technology keeps changing and improving, and the main driver is innovation, right? And to innovate, you have to be brave, you have to be bold, you have to have ideas. The ideation process is so broad and diverse. And that brings us to the topic of the day, the role of diversity and inclusion in technology. So I spent the last 3 years in as a technology advocate, first unofficially, now it's part of my day job, right? And what I can testify to is there's just strength in empowering the different perspectives. For you to move forward, for you to really come up with the ideas that change the world, you have to have different sets of people that bring in their unique perspectives. So that's where the diversity comes in, right? And it's a driver. And for you to harness these ideas and be able to leverage them for good, you have to be inclusive in the way you're. It's not. Now you have to listen to them. On the a couple questions, generational gap. Regardless of where school, the basics, learn right and know math. Now I need to know how to code. Now you have high having high might be working with people. So role of future. It goes back to my initial point, right? I mean, regardless of your gender orientation, there's no one premium or ownership. There's no that's going forward. It's even as a coalition. If you want further evidence, just look at all the tech companies right now and look at the makeup, right? So some of the companies that are stagnant. Some stagnant traditional companies have their leadership, have have the workforce look a certain way, a certain type. Everyone the suits comes to work in the morning and does the same thing. I look at the other companies that actually look at the work. You know, diversity is a key thing, and not just because you want to make up the numbers. It's that you want to get the perspectives in, and you want people to work with you. I speak about broad sector because I know we about gender diversity. That's great. That's a one-dimensional thing. Yeah, let me stop for there. I can speak for days, but I'll hand it back to the moderator.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Nicole. So before we proceed, to all our audience listening, if you have any questions, kindly send your questions to the chat box. And to those watching on YouTube, kindly drop your questions in the comment section below. We'll have someone send the questions here for our panelists to respond to them. So yes, I'll move to LSA. I'd like to hear, or we would like to hear your perspective on this topic. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Confirm you can hear me clearly.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. And thanks so much to my fellow speakers who have really touched a lot on diversity. The role of diversity and inclusion for any industry whatsoever cannot be overemphasized. Deepo already mentioned how diverse teams build better products. You know, you have high quality innovations coming from diverse teams. You have cross-fertilization of ideas because we bring in different perspectives. Recently, I read a publication by our, an interview by our SPE Nigerian Council chairman, and you know, one of the captions there was, every technological advancement is a product of ingenuity, and it's absolutely the crux of the entire matter. In terms of diversity, there are several trends that have been discussed already. Our keynote speaker talked about generation, so there's a focus on multi-generational workforce. There's also a focus on unconscious bias in the workplace. We've talked about gender equality, cannot be overemphasized. This week was the week for International Women's Day celebration. And one key thing from a diversity and inclusion perspective, which I would like to highlight here as well, is that most companies are moving or having a shift from just focusing on diversity and inclusion to actually focusing on diversity, equity, and inclusion, because it helps with taking away the bias that they are focusing on just having the numbers, like one of the speakers already mentioned. But I think the discussion should be slightly different in my view. It should be more around what are the opportunities that, you know, the energy leaders of the future can leverage on using the current focus on diversity and inclusion. How can our future energy leaders take advantage of these opportunities, especially in this era where we have huge technological advancements in the future, but being able to leverage on these opportunities today in preparation for tomorrow. We know that, of course, Deepo already mentioned it as well. The world it's now becoming an interconnected global village, really small. You know, we have people working in Nigeria, actually working from Nigeria, but are working in the US technically. For myself, I've been working from home since the pandemic. So there's no hindrance to location in terms of what the future would bring. But I think the question should also be, how can the leaders, our energy leaders, take advantage of these technological advancements to ensure that they keep themselves competitively, you know, keep themselves competitive in a global space, not just the local space, because we know the truth of the matter is as a Black man, as a Black woman, you are already disadvantaged. But without dwelling so much on the disadvantage that you have, how can we leverage on the current trends with regards to being able to work from anywhere, having access to several information to update your skills and ensure that you're competitive in a global space? An example is Okonjo-Iweala. Everyone has talked so much about her. She's a Harvard breed. She's worked in World Bank. She has this international exposure. And then you still see um, how much, how would I put it? How much, how it wasn't easy for her to finally be indoctrinated as the leader of the World Trade Center. So it's just to let you know that beyond just diversity and inclusion, we need to take advantage of whatever opportunities that we have in a technologically advanced world to update ourselves from a skills perspective. How well do we know the common trends in the current energy sector? Do we know about ESG? Are we keeping ourselves abreast of cleaner energies, what different industries are doing? Because there's a cross-fertilization, not just within a company, there's cross-fertilization of ideas across industries, across sectors. A lot of people are taking on the technology used by Uber to enhance their logistics operation, even in the oil and gas industry. So for me, the discussion should not just focus on how we can have diverse teams in our various organizations. I think it should be focused around how can we leverage on the fact that companies are actually looking to have diverse teams by ensuring that we keep ourselves competitive at the global space. I'll keep it for now and hope to share more as we go along. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so much, LFA. Thank you so, so much. Okay, so you made some points that I would love to talk about, but I would love to hear from Dr. Jackson's perspective before I begin to ask questions. So would you, can you kindly tell us your perspective on this topic, on the role of diversity and inclusion in technology advancement? Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much. Greetings from SPE Ghana session. Sorry, I joined a bit late. We're on the SPE regional officers meeting with our regional director. I'm happy to make it, and I'm happy to see familiar faces. Oladipo, hello, good to see you here, and everybody I know. So yes, this is what SPE is meant for. I mean, knowledge sharing, debates on topics that are relevant, especially now. And I'm very happy with what Sola Robinson is saying, Oladipo, Sharif, in fact, everybody. Elise's perspective is another angle that I really love. Have some points on there to talk about. And when we talk about gender inequality and everything here, that is not exactly what the point is. So we understand that capacity as human has never been the case. And for us in Ghana here, we take a lot of things from Nigeria. I believe that those who have been in the industry for quite a long time understand that we started off exploration and development with capacity from Nigeria. But just like Elise said, I mean, the diversification in the energy scope or work scope is what we need to understand, because things are changing. And but then when we talk about diversification again, we're looking at, or inclusion, you're looking at the nascent, the newbies coming to the industry that needs to be accepted. Because when we look at the concept of peak oil, so for those who have had a chance to really read about peak oil that started in the 18th century, even at that time, technology was a factor. So you realize that technology and then demand and supply being sustainability, which we talk about today as alternative energy,
You hear green energy. Gone are the days where gas used to be flared in Nigeria, but today we're all talking about gas to power. So whose idea was it? It had been in the system for a long time. Why weren't you looking at it? I mean, as far as Africa, is concerned. I mean, you go for different meetings with the students, and they are very worried about the industry, like because of the pandemic. But just like I think Sherifa said, I mean, every single technology that came into the oil and gas market was due to a turmoil, was due to the fact that people were being laid off, was due to the fact that new ideas and new technology had to replace the old ones. So I remember how RSS came into being. I really remember how Pop and Puff came into the secondary recovery method. They were all due to the fact that oil prices were down. People had to come up with cheaper ideas and be creative. So what I want to say is that basically our new professionals that come into the market need to be really, really extra creative than we are already in the industry. You have to think outside the box. You have to stand alone. You have to be, I mean, new. I mean, you have to bring something new into the system. And you have to be very inquisitive. You have to be very inquisitive. I mean, to learn everything that you can. Even in Ghana here, now we are thinking about how to reform the petroleum engineering programs to add something like machine learning and other things that they think they need to know, because we all understand that petroleum engineering as a program is a borrowed program. Let's be honest with ourselves. When you go to the oil field, you see mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, a few petroleum engineers. I was a reservoir engineer in Lukoil back in Russia, moved on to food development, and now after my PhD in economics, I'm a commercial guy. So that's the diversification of what we're talking about. I mean, you have to move in accordance to where the heat is coming from. Let's take Shell. Now, Shell doesn't call themselves an oil and gas company again. They call themselves as an energy company because they are realigning themselves with the global energy policies that have been implemented day in and day out. The SGD7 says, hey, let's go for clean energy. Nigeria says, okay, we used to flare gas, let's not flare gas. Let's commercialize our gas. Look at WAP, the WAP pipeline that came from Nigeria to Ghana to solve our problem. Let's look at the Mozambique facility to South Africa to solve the coal problem. So these are the things that we need the new generation to be thinking about, how to solve problems that are real, but needs very simple methodology to achieve them. Before I log off, let's look at the Africa outlook, energy outlook. Compare with the global energy outlook. They're totally different. So where are we going with clean energy? Where are we going to start using electric cars? It's not an African thing now. I mean, the biggest refinery in Africa is yet to be built in Nigeria. We are all looking at that. So we don't need to lose focus, but rather be dynamic in how we think and how we do our business. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Riverson. Thank you. This was really enlightening. So now we'll move over to questions and answers. So I'd like to start with you, Dr. Riverson. You talked about how broad diversity is and how that, it spans across even educational backgrounds, having mechanical engineers on the field, as well as petroleum engineers on the field. Also talking about how that Shell right now do not refer to themselves as a petroleum, an oil company, basically they refer to themselves as an energy company. So the audience today are basically undergraduate students and fresh graduates. So I would like for you to touch on how students now, like how these students can position themselves to harness these opportunities, to to be as diversified as possible, to put themselves out there for these opportunities, to not just restrict themselves to, oh, I studied petroleum engineering, so it has to be the oil and gas industry, or I studied electrical engineering, so it has to be somewhere along the electrical field. So how do you think students at this stage or fresh graduates can position themselves to harness these opportunities? Over to you, Dr. Riverson.
Oh, okay, sorry. I didn't know it was coming to me because I didn't speak it. So yes, I think during my delivery, I mentioned certain areas that we need to look at, and I mean, going around talking at different student conferences, the concern is the same. They are very worried and they are a bit anxious. But what I would say that they should not be, as far as Africa is concerned. And this is not a presentation, but there's one presentation I have that really depicts the amount of crude oil and gas that we have, as far as proven reserves is concerned, that we have in Africa, that can feed the whole world for more than 100 years. So I believe, yes, I believe in clean energy, and I believe everybody here will understand that. And I believe so much in sustainable energy. No twist about that. But Africa, when we mention Africa, we are a bit far from whatever the global world is preaching. I'm not saying that we're not going to experience that, but when I pick electric cars to replace liquid fuel operated cars, even in Europe, they have concerns. They wouldn't want to talk about that. So first of all, we should not want, we don't want our students to lose focus. We don't want them to be anxious about the future. The future is still bright. So much fields are being developed because, again, 20 years ago, if you were given a gas field, you wouldn't want to operate it. But now every operator is looking for a gas field. So that tells you how dynamic the energy industry is, in oil and gas industry. Things are changing. And in as much as possible that technology is coming in, it's not meant to take off our work, but rather make our work better. If I had a chance, I'd have shown you a 1980 land rig in comparison with 2020 land rig. The 2020 land rig looked like a hotel, but who developed it? It's the same people. It is to make things better for we the engineers. Let's look at Eric Rao. Eric Rao came to Ghana waters in 2014, and everyone like, wow, this is the best semi-submersible pipe drilling platform we have been. But now Maersk brings their 360 dynamic, super solid drilling platform, and like, wow. So things are changing. So the thing that you know today will not take you to tomorrow. Keep learning, keep being very, very creative, think outside the box, and that will make who you are. Don't be so rigid in the way you think as students, but rather be open-minded. So that's being technical. But please don't also forget about your social and relationship, relationship skills. I mean, networking is very important. I would say SPE has made me, because of the kind of opportunities that it gave us as far as networking is concerned. I don't joke with that at all. And I believe that as your students, this is the best time that you will be heard. You'll be heard by the experts who are here than when you are done with school. Because when you come to us, when you're done with school, you know that you're looking for a job. But once you are in school, we love you with a different love, you know. I mentor students, so I know what I'm talking about. And that when you come up with something that is very important to discuss, every single expert would like to really engage if the project like doing is realistic and actual. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Riverson. You mentioned something about network, and I think it's very, very key, especially in this day and time, where networking helps you to, position yourself to get to where you want to get to. So, my next question is for Sherifat. In your profile, I saw that you've had a lot of experience in different industries, in the pharmaceutical industry, the IT, the energy industry. And I also read a couple of days ago that in 2017, when the study was carried out, about 11% of the total people in the cybersecurity space was represented by women. And you being a woman and being able to create a niche for yourself to this gift and being able to stand out. So what would you say to fellow people, like fellow young people who are looking up to, get into this position, trying to build themselves in various industries, not just sections in the oil and gas industry. So what advice would you give to them to be able to meet up to this standard and, create a niche for themselves in this space? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And first of all, I'd like to encourage the team that put this together. I recall when I was in the university or period to my career life, we didn't have an opportunity to hear from people in the industry to come and share their experience. We were basically just going to school and trying to do the best, get good grades, and then hoping to start working without necessarily learning workplace culture. What is happening in the workplace? How do we even interact? How do we talk? But a lot of us got thrown into it, and if you're a good learner, you get to quickly catch up and get to behave and join, the work before gradually you grow into it. But right now, here is an opportunity where fellow students are interacting with industry people already work, industry leaders and professionals, which is a good thing. And this, to address your question, it's one of the very most important things to consider. The ability to associate with people is very key. So you mentioned I've had diverse experience in different areas. One of the things I used to do is to make wherever I work or during my career journey, I associate, I network, I reach out to people. I volunteer for projects. So while my daily task could be do this A, B, C, and D, I consciously look out for what interests me. So I'll tell a quick story. So after my service year and I joined the bank as a service desk analyst, I was coming freshly from my master's degree in information security. And I really wanted to do information security. And unfortunately, the head of the information security department then felt that, oh, you're a youth corper, you're not a permanent employee of this bank, you cannot work here yet, But that was my passion. That was what I wanted to do. So what did I start to do? I started shadowing the people there. I got interested in their projects. What were they doing? What are they talking about? And then I networked. I made friends in that department. I even volunteered to do some work for them sometimes when, because they were always very busy. They had a lot to do while still doing my own job and doing it well. And the essence of doing my job well and excelling at it is that tomorrow I can go to my manager and say confidently that this is what I want. How can you support me? And after a while, I got the opportunity to work in information security. And from there, my career started to blossom. That single volunteering, going out of my comfort zone into something else that if I didn't do it, it wasn't going to affect me in any way. I also get my normal job done. But because I had a focus, I had a goal of what I wanted to do. And that's why I focused on that. So I would also like to touch on a very key aspect. And I think the earlier speaker, Riverson, also mentioned something around that. A key thing as a petroleum engineer that you need to consider is adopting digital skills. So I understand, and I don't know the curriculum or the course that, the constituent of your course as a petroleum engineer in your universities, but the way the world is going, there's practically no aspect of any career, including health, to engineering that doesn't adopt digital skills. So imagine you as a graduate and you know nothing about digital. I'll give an example, very close to home to the engineering people. Operational technology. This is the aspect where a lot of your devices are being remotely managed. And the underlying should I say, whatever supports that is technology. If you get into the workforce and you do not know anything about OT, operational technology, you will be lost. It will take some time for you to catch up. And I don't know if that is being taught today at the university, but one other thing you can do is step out of your comfort zone, learn about that. So we're getting to a situation where people do not have to travel to oil rigs or wherever. Apologies, I'm a technologist, so I don't know a lot about petroleum engineering, but they can sit in their offices and control all of these devices. So I'm being hard to round up, so I'll just take it there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sherifat. Thank you for giving us your own practical experience on this theme. So I'd like to ask Alessia a few questions. So from your profile, you're a few months away from having a decade experience in the oil and gas industry, and I'm sure a lot of students who are here would want to have a grasp of how easy it is or how difficult it is to get into the industry. Like Sherifat already discussed about networking, how that is very key to your network now while you can. So would you say that networking is like an added advantage to get into the oil and gas industry? And also, like how easy or how difficult is it to get into the industry? And would you advise people to to still try to get into the industry, or they should diversify and try to fit into other sectors? Yeah. So over to you, Alessia.
Interesting. That's like a power-packed question, 3 in 1. Okay, but thanks for the opportunity. I think I'd like to respond to that question by just saying a little bit about myself and from school and how I ended up working for Shell. Like my profile, I studied petroleum engineering from the University of Port Harcourt. I remember back then in school, from my 300 level was when I fully got involved with SPE. So I recall then NIA's conference was held in Abuja at that time. You would not imagine that some students who were so passionate about staying abreast. Remember my first few comments talked about staying abreast of the industry trends. So in that curiosity to want to stay abreast of industry trends, we will save up our money. Some of my friends and I, one of them is a mobile, so you could imagine maybe it worked for us, maybe it didn't work for us, but we'll save up money, we'll travel all the way to Abuja. Then the student fees were quite subsidized. For me, it was all about staying abreast of industry trends. At that time, when I was just graduating, it was a time when all activities were pretty low. It's still about staying abreast of industry trends. And I knew that coming out of school, I wouldn't want, it seemed like at that time, what you would just settle with the fact that there were no recruitment activities happening at the time that I graduated, would be to settle in the banks. And I did not want that. I got lots of offers from banks, but I just did not want, because I knew that once I get in, getting out might be difficult. So it still boils down to knowing where you want to see yourself and ensuring that all the activities that you do, you stay curious with the industry and the trends you want to build your long-term career in. Now, going on, I had to apply for a scholarship. I knew that, like I said, I did not want to work in a bank. I needed to do something else also in the oil and gas industry whilst waiting for the trends to become favorable. So I had to go for my master's. My parents had no funding whatsoever. So it was strictly based on scholarship. It was not a network. Made the scholarship, gave me information that enabled me go and apply for that scholarship. That's when networking comes into play. Now, it was also the same networking that informed me about the opportunities in Shell whilst I was still doing my master's. I did not stay back in the UK during my master's. I still knew that I wanted to be back in Nigeria, and I ensured that whatever I did, I had to come back and be part of whatever recruitment process that Shell had at the time. And to be honest, I knew no one in Shell. So it's not the network that most times the it's network that gets you into the oil and gas industry. But at that level, your network helps you with information, coaching, mentoring that prepares you for the time when you're ready to go into the industry. Now, being in the industry, coming in, I am a well engineer, straight up to the rig, had lots of people that had to work with different generations, and I had to learn. The first thing that I would say is curiosity is really, really important. Leveraging on your network for critical information and coaching, it's absolutely important. And staying humble also whilst you come into the workplace, it's absolutely important, and that's what has really kept me even whilst in Shell. And also same network got me also the right opportunity or the right information to decide to go on for my MBA. So in my view, a lot of young people on LinkedIn, I get a lot of messages on LinkedIn, people telling me, oh, I want to work for Shell. Unfortunately, Shell, if only Shell was my father's company or my company, I probably would have employed a lot of my friends, but what I can help you with is the coaching and the mentoring that you need to prepare you for the time when you'll be given the opportunity to sell yourself in preparation for coming into the industry. I think that's where I'll leave it.
Thank you very much, Alessi. It seems you paid so much on networking and all. Thank you so much for this. Over to you, Dipo. I would like to ask a question on how to remain competitive in a local and global space. Your profile reads that you've had leadership experience in different countries, in different continents, and I believe that you've worked with diverse people from diverse cultures, diverse educational backgrounds. So as a leader, how are you able to still maintain that culture of diversity and inclusion amongst the team members? And what would you advise fresh graduates and undergraduates to do to remain competent in both local and global space?
All right, no, thanks. It's a great question. I would say, I mean, there are three things for me. I mean, I like to think I can outwork anyone. So working hard is really important because that's a currency or a language that transverses across the world, being a building a reputation of being one. Second thing is also playing hard, right? So I I like to socialize. I watch football. I play sports. I get out there. I mean, before the pandemic, I would have drinks with people because I like to build a broad network, right? And I'm not building a network with a certain ambition to leverage it. I just want to build a network and get along with people. And they say luck is opportunity meets preparation. So, I mean, you improve your chances of getting an opportunity with a wider network, right? And the third thing, for me is just being very curious, right? And um, where I am today, being a global digital opportunity manager, it's out of curiosity. I mean, doing the role I had previously, I was trying to learn what this digital space was about, learn about data and how data leads into insights, and from the insights you can generate action that could bring about value. And I mean, the person who hired me to this role noticed my curiosity and heard about my reputation for being a good worker, and we had a conversation, and that's how that happened. So those three things amazingly important. And if I flash back to, I mean, a decade and a half ago when I was almost two, when I was in the shoes of the students on the call, you study, you try and do your best to get the grades because I mean, it's like your ticket. I mean, having having a good GPA and good results will get you into the party. I mean, you can always get through get in through the back door or through the window, but the easiest way to get through is when you have your your academic credentials in mind. But you also have to build a network of friends. I know this thing about everybody wanting to be first or second, and that's all really nonsense, yeah. And it's something that increasingly we need to throw away as a society, ranking and positions. It's best if we all come first. It's best if we all sit together, share ideas, collaborate, and build the shared knowledge and understanding to move forward. So I'd encourage you to do that. I'd encourage you guys to form study groups, peer mentoring groups, etc. So you can share contacts. When you want to go to the like I said, you want to go into an SPE conference. It's not how can I get there without telling anybody I'm going. The thing should be how do we all get there together and how do we all take notes before we go, set the agenda for what we want to do at the conference, and how do we compare notes after. And the third is in being curious. I mean, you can just go on YouTube. I mean, what are the topics today? The energy transition, obviously solar, hydrogen, wind, etc., becoming the increasing their market share in the energy mix. Doesn't take a lot for you to just type in what is hydrogen on Google, YouTube, and sit there and learn. The videos will go and play themselves out for a day or two. Um, we've talked about it's the digital era now, and digital technology is driving things forward. Learn how to code. There are books out there. There are free articles out there on what platforms to use and how you can better educate yourself, um, etc. So be very curious and just know you have 24 hours in a day, and that's 30 minutes that you spend on Instagram or Twitter looking at what somebody else is doing or arguing about whatever stuff is irrelevant. If you put that 30 minutes into being more productive, could help. Could help. So I'll just recap and say the three things. One, just work hard because that's the currency you need. Keep building your network, making friends and collaborating. And the third, be very curious, know what's relevant, and continue to build your skills and your competence. And I think that will be the base of your pizza. Everything starts coming on, all the toppings start coming on after that. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Victor. Thank you so much for giving us great insight to this. So would like to have Shola. I don't know if she's still on. Um, Hi, Shola. Are you still on?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Thank you so much. So would like you to answer this question that talks about how like that a lot of people would say that women are really not, women are the ones who are not positioning themselves well, or people, or women do not want to, get into that space. With the way artificial intelligence is moving, you still find a lot of men, going into that space confidently, and you hardly find women. So would you say that in your years of experience and your years of dealing with women, would you say that women do not, have the willingness to, challenge themselves, have the willingness to go into such space, basically such challenging space? Like women just like to be laid back, or women, prefer to be comfortable where they are. They do not want to move out of their comfort zone.
Okay, I think the mistake, that we make, oftentimes is expecting women to act the way men act. And for me, it's not going to help the diversity we are talking about. So what I'm trying to drive out here is, we say we want to have a diverse workforce, and then you have men, you have women, and you expect women to act the way men act. One of the well, naturally, men are the type that if you ask, can you take up and I, they say yes. Even before they are sure they can do it, they say yes. But women are more likely to say, I will get back to you. Because women are usually wants to be ready before they say yes. Men will say yes even before they are ready. Okay, so we see a difference, in these two sets of people. And usually in the workplace, there's this perception that until you start acting like men, as a woman, behaving like men, having those characteristics, that's what makes you ambitious, that's what makes you to be ready, that's what makes you to, want to take a particular position. And for me, it's not so. Immediately we expect women to start acting like men. We've lost that diversity that we are in the first place. So if you have women acting like men, then that means we have the same set of people in a workplace. The way women think, the way women reason, it brings its own a uniqueness, to the workforce for everyone to go ahead. So to answer your question, it's not true that women are not ready or they don't want to take position just because they are not aggressive. Let me say most women are not aggressive. So just because they are not aggressive, they are not pushing, means they can't do the work or they don't want to do. They don't want to take the position. I hope I answered your question.
Very well, very well, very well. Thank you so much, Sarah. Thank you so much. Thank you to all our speakers. So we'll have to round up. Before we round up, I'm just going to give like a summary of everybody's contribution. I know that in today's session, all the speakers talked on, acquiring the right skills, networking, just look forward to do what you have interest in, and if you have interest in anything, go for it. I remember Sharifa talked about, look for what interests you and go for it when she gave us the banking experience, and she also talked on networking. We also had River saying that talked on, gaining the right skills as well as the keynote speaker Shola. Then LSE also talked about staying abreast of the industry trends and leveraging on your network, which is very, very important. And we also have Vito, who talked about working hard. Working hard is definitely, position you for position you to be where you want to be, and also developing curiosity along with the global trends. So you see that the world is moving into data now. So I feel everybody right now should be curious about data. Why is everybody keen on data? Why is the world talking about data? So that would help you, to develop skills or interest in that particular aspect, and also building a network as well. Thank you so much to all our speakers. Thank you for honoring this occasion and for sharing light on this topic. I believe our audience gained a lot, and I believe they'll definitely go back and work on the things they've learned from here. So right now, I'm going to hand over the mic to Sura to take over this event from here. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Hal. That was so insightful. Thank you, Banke, and thank you to all our speakers doing justice to that. So now it's giveaway time. I hope you guys have your phones ready to get little gift from SPE Lagos section.
So can you put it in presentation mode?
I didn't get you.
So can you put it in presentation mode so that it covers the full screen?
Oh, okay. Yes. Thank you. So the clue is there everywhere you go. So if you know that network and you're so good with your maths, let me know who gets my airtime. Please, you can signify when you get it, so we can move right to the next one. Thumbs up. Who has my airtime? Should I go with my airtime or someone has it? It's 728. Then you do your addition, subtraction. Going. I have great mathematicians here now. Okay, I'll move to the next one, then come back to this. Okay. Here's the ints. A particular network that uses this particular song. *444#. I don't want my airtime yet. Next, it clearly says IX. If you remember our Roman figures, that network that has something to do with IX. Go back to my empty. Oh God, I dropped the key. Okay, now I dropped the key. Okay. If we are so familiar with network adverts, there's this particular advert that has this beautiful woman on my screen. So once you remember the advert, you know the network. Please remember to join in for tomorrow's session and drop our comments on the social media handle. If no one gets my airtime, I'll move it to tomorrow's event. And because we're going to have lots of fun. We'll have takeaways, student presentation on the theme with their school as a case study. Going. So let's have the closing remark by Aladebaji Faria, President SPE Lasso chapter. Is Faria online with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay, please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Aladiraji Faria, as Mr. has rightly introduced, the President of Society of Petroleum Engineers, Lagos State University chapter, and it is my privilege to offer the closing remarks for today's event. First of all, I'd like to thank our participants for making out time to listen to this creative session that we've planned out for them. You're amazing people. I also like to thank our distinguished speaker and panelists in person of Adeshola Robinson, Ladapo Ashafa, Dr. Riverson Okwong, Sherifat Akinwumi, and Elise Ezewan. I'm sorry if I pronounced any of the names wrong. I'm really sorry. You all brought life into the theme of the event and really appreciate your time and commitment. Thank you to the moderator, Banke. That was a nice moderating session. You carried everyone along. Finally, I would like to thank SPE Lagos and all the student chapters involved in making this happen. Thank everyone for joining from far and wide, and we look forward to seeing you guys for tomorrow's event. Do have a wonderful evening, and bye for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Faria, for that closing remark. Do follow our social media handles on LinkedIn, SPE Lagos Section 61, Twitter, SPE_Lagos, on Instagram, SPE_Lagos, Facebook, SPE.Lagos, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, SPE Lagos, and messages, make inquiries, events, and activities. Thank you very much for joining. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow, same time, 3 p.m. Going to be an interesting one. Thank you for joining. Have a lovely day.